After Russian occupying forces are driven away, a state enterprise, Ukhrhydroenergo, are to build a new power station on the site of a destroyed Kakhovska Dam. They say it will be built fast. This was stated by the Ukhrhydroenergo Director General Igor Sirota on air during the telethon. According to Mr. Sirota, the company has initiated discussions amongst professionals, engineers and construction specialists on how to block the destroyed dam ASAP. Of course, it happens only after the territory is deoccupied. Experts are also discussing measures to be taken in order to renew water supply from the upper reservoirs of the Dnipro cascade to provide areas that will suffer from water shortages. We talk about 3 or even 4 regions here of the country. Most probably, new wells in the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions will be drilled to obtain fresh water. Water supply from the Dnipro cascade would also be diverted to Kryvyi Rih. Ukhrhydroenergo has also submitted a new water-saving plan to the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine. Obviously, it is planned to reduce the usage of fresh water in the enterprise's own facilities. We will save water so that when it is necessary to fill the reservoir Kakhov, we will be able to do so in no time so as to provide water to affected regions, says Mr. Sirota. Clarified, he also says that these decisions were made at the meetings of the National Security Council and the State Commission of Technogenic and Environmental Safety and Emergency Situation, which took place on the day of the disaster. Reconstruction of the Kakhovska power plant will last for 5 years. And this is a question to you. And will cost Ukraine a mind-boggling money, more than $1 billion. Do you think, as a professional, that the game worth it? Do we need to rebuild it? In terms of ecology as a science, should we be really building that costly and vast structure? Is it good for ecology or is it bad to have it back, rebuild?
I'm absolutely sure that this is a bad idea. I don't think that this huge Soviet time construction, which ruined the ecosystem of the lower Dnieper, should be brought back. This ruination definitely is a catastrophe and definitely impacting people. But as it's already happened, the future rebuilding of this dam should be definitely considered very carefully. I would say that for river itself, for healthy ecosystem, free-flowing river is definitely a plus. There is international discussions with leading scientists in environmental sciences, in ecology, in hydrology, that as soon as we have a free-flowing rivers, they provide much more ecosystem services to the environment than the blocked reservoir. Definitely, this construction was done for the sake of humans, because it was definitely useful and convenient for people to have
pardon me for interrupting.
water.
This was my next question. I mean, the reservoirs we're using for irrigation, and if you say that we do not need to rebuild it, what's now? I'm not asking what is now. It's ruined now, but do we have to rebuild it? And then when we have the other source, then we might just shut it down. Because what to do with the regions that need irrigation, and they will need it?
Yes, this is a really good question, but the situation is that we have climate change as well. And all climate modeling shows that south and east of Ukraine will be lacking water and will be water deficient more and more in the coming years. It means that raising temperatures, less water coming with precipitation, with rains, will bring the river less filled with water. The channels, as they are constructed now within Soviet times, these open, super unaffected channels cannot be supported anymore like this. If I'm not mistaken, about 1/3 of water in our irrigation system was lost or during the exploitation. So it's a super not effective system. And now, if this is the ruination we have, it's definitely worth spending 10 times less funds, and not to rebuild this huge construction, but rather to identify the areas where reconstruction of the irrigation makes sense, and to do it, but have a new approach, modern technologies, drip irrigation solutions, not these huge just lines, channels of water being evaporated and going into the like neighboring areas not effectively, in such not effective way. These investments would be definitely more future smart, considering the climate change. Other territories, I'm pretty sure, should be considered for pastures. As soon as now, the areas in the south and east of Ukraine still could sustain the vegetation like steppe areas. These steppe grasses could be brought back used.
I'm sorry, I read you. You're very passionate and emotional about it, and this is good when a scientist does his thing, your thing. But what about Crimea at the moment? We don't have the sources of waters for these people at the moment. Until you're talking about very good, very nice things like let's invest in this high-tech technologies. I agree with you. Like every cloud has a silver lining, and let's use the bad disaster to make a future smart decisions. But what about these people right now? They like in Crimea, in an occupied territory of Ukraine. What are we going to tell them? That we wait for another 5 or 10 years until we just invest in a very tech smart project?
They were living without the channel of Dnipro water for 7-8 years. And what it meant for them? It meant that the agriculture and industry was limited in the northern areas of Crimea. For drinking purposes, if we exclude military bases, military facilities, and heavy industry from Crimea, this water would be absolutely enough. The agriculture was actually developed by the local Tatar people for centuries before, and they were not relying on the channel built in the Soviet times, right? So again, coming back to pastures and grazing animals and agriculture types, that's the way which could be used and not copying the Soviet solutions.
Yeah, absolutely,
I'm absolutely sure that
yes,
the
I'm
solution
with
could
you.
be found.